welcome. And we have the car of the day. Let's take a look. Okay, now we're gonna be doing restoration work. This is a 1966 Ford Fairlane. I just want to demonstrate you guys how complex trimming was back in the days. This is a kit made by Distinctive Industries in Commerce, California, or it used to be. Now I don't know if they make it in China, who knows. And this is one of the things that appears to never fit, but it does fit, guys. For those that are thinking on making their own restoration process and they think of how complicated this thing is gonna be, it is true, this is not a DIY thing. But I want to demonstrate this process because I like you guys, so I want you to know how things were done back in the day compared to what we do right now with LeatherTeck and EM upholstery technology. Basically, you're going to have burlap, which is to protect the frame, is to protect the phone, not the frame, from cutting. So this frame is already being cleaned and powder coating back to better than factory. They were painted back in the days. So these right here, guys, these are critical. These are the guides. These cables right here, these wires are the guides for the trimming for the hack rings. So the first step is we're gonna put our burlap on the surface, and then the challenge with the new foam pads, which are this, they're oversized and they're latex, and there is so many issues. So in order you guys to grab this wire right here, you're gonna have to go through all this foam. So it's not really gonna happen, so it's not possible. So we're gonna make an adjustment there. We're gonna remove the foam. We're gonna measure it because it's actually in width. It's supposed to be about 14 and a half. This one has 15, so we need to make a cut right here, and we need to remove all the foam all the way to the base, which is kind of calico, because this foam is gonna be in our way to trim all the way to the frame. So that's gonna be one of the challenges. Second one, once you put your cover on top, you're gonna realize the cover, it appears to be too small for the size of the foam. And the reason why is, one of the reasons is that the foam tends to expand once it gets out of the mold. So it becomes bigger, it keeps on growing. That's one of the reasons. The second reason, guys, is for you to kind of squish it so it feels completely and make this cover looks like that. So if you are not really an old school guy, you don't know how much steam goes into these things, and this is not your average steamer that you use with the one, the little like clothing steamer. This uses a boiler. This is a high pressure steam that if you don't know how to use it, you can burn yourself, you can make a hole into the upholstery. Completely different process. So when you use that kind of machine, what it does is it softens so much the foam, and it softens so much the cover, that once you have it at certain point with the steam, it will fit just like a glove, and it seems to be impossible to trim in cold. I believe you're gonna rip it apart because it's not gonna stretch that much, and it's gonna give you so much difficult time trimming it, because this was made with such a technique that is not available for the beginners. So this is another level. If it was not a kit made like this, it will be different. Custom made will be different. But these guys, this is a kit. So it comes with the foam, it comes with the, well, you buy everything separate. It comes with the upholstery, and now comes the funny part, which is the fun part, which is putting it together. So I'm gonna demonstrate how it's done, so you can see and learn a little bit about old school upholstery. It can be done in a different way, yes. One way that people tackle this issue is they shave the foam. They basically cut the excess. And that will do one way, but not the way that it was intended to be done. Now you can see, guys, right here how much the pool sinks into the frame. And this is what is so difficult to do when you have a foam pad that is so expanded. The original pads for these vehicles uses a lot of latex. These new foam pads has a little less latex. It's still in pretty good quality foam, because back in the days they used to use algodón, cotton, and a lot of latex. So this is decent. We already did the rear part a long time ago. So for the rear is not much to worry about if you have the steamer. But I want to show you this because it was not easy. And if you don't have the tools and the techniques, so you can appreciate your local upholsterer, because these things are not easy to be making. When they give you a price, guys, it's not just because they gonna become millionaires the next year. It's never gonna happen. You will see your upholstery shop being there for 5, 10, 20 years and still doing the same thing, because most places they don't really have a growth. It's just go by business, mom and dad business. Unfortunately, it's a trade that is dying and nobody wants to learn. Difficult for a lot of people. Little pay. Now you can flip burgers, at least here in California, and get $16 an hour. So get somebody to learn all these things, and not being able to get paid the same amount for flipping a burger and put all this much effort, it kind of kill it for anybody that wants to learn upholstery. Sad thing, but true. So let me prepare so you can see how this process is gonna go. So let's have fun with this thing. I want you guys to see underneath. This one I already did it, and because of the situation and the complication, I want you guys to see how it's done, so you can appreciate the craftsmanship and the complexity when it comes to this kind of classic work. So that's your burlap. Then is your foam all squished, and it's a lot of hack rings to hold all this together. And these are the section, guys, right here. This is the original wire running right here, and these are the hack rings coming from the top, grabbing underneath. This is the challenge in all this upholstery work, at least for the front. The rear are more easy going. Because they don't have pulls in the center. It's just a wrap around. But this one has pull in the center, and we need to squish it really hard. And you're gonna see how ugly it looks in the beginning. But once you have it all in place, this is the beauty. You see all the contours. They're beautiful. But yeah, it takes a lot of pressure. It takes a lot of elbow grease to come up with this finish. And this is the closest to the factory finish. And let's continue. Okay, guys, we're gonna do the burlap first. We got our frame. Our wires are not really that neat, but it seems to be perfect for what we want to be doing. So this is a scrap of burlap. We're gonna give it about 2.5 inches all around in excess. More or less. I'm gonna glue the rear because I don't have access to the rear once the frame is there. And not to mess up my table, I put some kind of protection. And we're gonna use adhesive. Do you need to do the adhesive? No, not really. You can do it without it. Just hot green it. Actually, the factory never glue this thing. But we are doing slightly better than themselves. We have to let it dry slightly because this is contact adhesive. It needs drying. Okay, now this is slightly dry. We want to hold it. That is your burlap, guys. Now, very important right here, just as a point of reference, we want to know where our wire is. And a half, it goes to 15, so it's more or less here. This is our guy, guys. Now we have machines for all this. The challenge is because it's metal, it goes too heavy into the pneumatic tube. If you missed it where it's supposed to go. For many of you, the process is gonna be by hand. These ones. Now the foam, but we have an issue here, guys. This is our cover, right? This tip Industries Specialty Division. These guys has been in the business for quite some time. I would say very long time. They still use the old techniques, change seat machines, calico, cotton calico, no foam. This is the way that it should be. So you have an authentic restoration. Now guys, this pull right here is about an inch, the most is 1 inch pull. Now this is our challenge right here. We already at 1.25 inches, and then we want to dig up more into this thing. So basically we have an oversized foam for sure. The other challenge, the width from pull to pull is 14.5, and right here we have about 14.5. Not bad. The previous one measured 15. So now, for me to reach with my cover pull all the way down here to the frame, I'm supposed to have only 1 inch, but I have way more than that. To addition, I have an about, right here feels like a quarter, but when we go to the center, feels more like 3/8. So to ease this installation, we're gonna have to remove the foam that is in the way. So we're gonna cut the foam. And we're gonna remove this excess entirely. And it's gonna look something like this. Two things happens here. It creates a bigger gap, and at the same time it becomes more flexible. Now it kind of shrinks. Let's do the same here. In some areas, guys, just so you see, in some areas you have about an additional 1 inch plus the 1 inch of foam. So the whole pull, it has to go through 2 inches. It's not gonna happen. Well, actually it's gonna happen because we're making preparations for that to work. But wow, yeah, this one is so deep. This is, in some areas, how thick it is, 1 inch. So basically we have 2 inches right here. And in the side we have 2.5. It's a lot of foam. There is 2 things to address this issue. Either you shave it or we steam it. In my case, we're gonna go to the steam. But let me hold this foam in place. I'm gonna have to use a different pliers here. There is many ways to do this, guys, but this is the way that I do it. The same process is gonna go to the backrest. It's a labor-intense process. That's what I'm saying. You have to have appreciation for your local upholstery shop. Because when you see a price, you might jump and you say, why? Let's take a look, guys. This is the why. Okay, I have my foam in place. Now it's time for the cover.